Hi everyone, welcome to Python Web Stepping. I'm Zadali, and today in this video I'll talk about Scrapy framework. Before I start, take a moment to subscribe the channel and hit a like button as well. So I assume that you have already installed Python and pip in your computer. You should be able to install packages inside command line terminal if you're using Windows, and in terminal if you're using MacBook. Okay, so in this video I'll discuss some basic infrastructure of Scrapy framework, and also the cool thing is that I'm going to create a server using Django, so that you should be able, so that you are able to see how different requests are received on the server and how you can handle different responses when you're sending requests to a server. Okay, so this is something that helps a lot when you are scraping a website, and you should know what requests look like on a server end. Okay, so other than that, I'll discuss some important features of Scrapy framework, some infrastructure which involves settings, pipelines, middlewares, or all those things. So stay with me, and of course subscribe to the channel. Alright, so if you see here, we have 2.11.0 latest version, which is the current release of Scrapy. And I'm going to uninstall my current existing Scrapy version, and I'm going to install this one. So let's go back to our terminal, and let's type pip3 uninstall Scrapy. Okay, I have uninstalled Scrapy, which was 2.10, and I will install the current one, which will be 2.11. So let's install that. Scrapy install, sorry, pip3 install Scrapy. All right, Scrapy is installed, and let's see Scrapy's version. Scrapy dash version. Scrapy version is 2.11. So this is basically the most latest version that I'm using right now. Okay, let me show you the basic infrastructure of before that. Let's create a directory. I'm going to create a directory on the desktop, and I'll start a project so that you can see the basic structure of a of the Scrapy framework, Scrapy project. Okay, so let's create a directory. To do that, just type, let me just zoom in. Okay, macdir, you can use the same command in Windows as well. And let's create Scrapy tutorial folder on my desktop. Okay, let's cd to Scrapy tutorial, and let's start our project. If you type Scrapy here and press enter, it's going to show you some options. In this case, we have bench, fetch, GenSpider, RunSpider, save fixture, setting, shell, start version, and view. So these are basically different use cases I'll discuss later on in this video. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to use the start project command. So let's use that, start Scrapy, start project. And right now I will have to give it a name, but let's just press enter and see what happens. Now, if you look here, it's going to tell you what the possible commands are. First, you use Scrapy, start project, and here you need to mention the project name and project directory. If you are using subdirectory to create the project, you can mention the directory here. Other than that, we have some other options that you can use. Okay, let's clear the window and try again. So in this case, I'm going to just name it Scrapy tutorial, and because I want to create this project in the same directory, so I will leave the directory part as empty. Okay, so if you look here, it says you can start your first spider with cd spider tutorial and Scrapy GenSpider example.com, which means that project file has been created. If you look here, Scrapy tutorial folder has been created for us. So we can, all we need to do is cd into Scrapy tutorial, and you see that we have two folders inside, files inside of that. One is scrapy.cfg, and second one is the directory that contains some project files. Okay, at this place, what we can do is that we can start a Scrapy spider, but before that, let's go to the infrastructure of the um, project. Okay, I'm going to use PyCharm if you are using Visual Studio, which is fine, or if you want to use any other thing, uh, that is also fine as well. Just let's go back to desktop, And this is the Scrapy project tutorial that I have created. Let's open it. Okay, if you see here, I have this Scrapy tutorials folder. Inside of it, I have scrapy.cfg file. This is basically a configuration file for Scrapy. Please do not remove it. And also we have this directory. If you expand this, you will see that we have some project related files inside of it. The structure should look like this, and inside of project you will see a spiders folder, and we have items, middlewares, pipelines, and settings. These are all essential for your Scrapy project. So if you look here, we have the spiders folder. Inside of it we have only init file. So what we are going to do is we can create a spider inside of this spiders folder. Just let's go back to our terminal, and inside at this point we can simply type Scrapy gen spider. And the reason we type gen spider is because it is a generic spider. There are different types of spider in Python, but to start a spider we use gen spider, and later on we can change it to more CrawlSpider, and there are other different types of spiders in XML spiders, JSON spider, I think. So let's start a gen spider, and here I'm going to simply type example and example.com. We can change that later on if you want to. Of course, we will change that, but using template basic, created spider example using template basic in module Scrapy tutorial.spiders.example. Let's go back to our PyCharm, and if you look here, there is a Python file inside the spider directory, and you can see that it has created a template for us for using this spider. So if you look here, it has named it example.com, and class is example spider, name is example, allowed domain is example.com, and starts URL is also example.com with HTTP. So let me just give you some overview what it means. It means is that whenever you want to start a spider, you will need to use this name. Let's say if you want to run this spider, you will have to use this example as a name for this spider. Okay, and the next thing is allowed domain. From allowed domain, it means that if you are crawling a website and you are following the links in let's say all the links on a page, and you don't want to follow certain page. Let's say if you are scraping a website and you don't want to go to social links just like Facebook or Twitter or any other social links, and you don't want to go to some specific types of links, then you can simply determine that which links are allowed. If you are scraping example.com and you don't want to go to any other website, you can identify that here, and it's going to filter all the requests that go to any other domains. Okay, and the next thing is we have start URLs. Start URLs means is that whenever you start a spider, it's going to send the request to this link, and when it gets the response, it's going to pass that response to this parse object. Okay, so this is what basic Scrapy template for basic spider looks like. All right, now at this point you understand what basic Scrapy template and a project and Scrapy template look like. So let's move on to changing some things here, because we don't want example spider, we want to scrape a website. So let's go there and try to scrape our website. Let's go to our website and try to get to scrap.com. This is basically a web scraping sandbox that you can use for web scraping. The reason I'm using this is because you can practice different use cases here. We have default, scroll, JavaScript, delete that we will discuss later on in this video as well. Let's go to books.toscrap.com. Let's copy this link, and let's add this as a start URL. And I don't want to, if I do this and run it, it's not going to send request to books.toscrap.com. As I said before, example.com is because to scrap is not listed in this allowed domain, so it is not going to send request to this to scrap.com. So for me to be able to send the request, let's change it. Make sure that you use the base URL instead of books.toscrap.com. Okay, now let's change the name as well. And let's change this example spider to scrap spider. So remember that in Python we have this convention that we use camel format when we are naming a class, which means that every first word of a class should be character of a class name. If you're using multiple words inside a class name, then first character should be in caps. Okay, in this case I'm saying to scrap spider. Okay, so now let's try to run this and see what we have, and if this runs perfectly fine. Let's copy this to scrap and go back to our terminal and try to run the spider. To run the spider, you can do this anywhere from within this directory. As long as you are inside this folder, sorry, in this folder, you should be able to run the spider using this command. So it is preferred that you are at this in the same directory where you have scrapy.config file, just like I am in this case. Just type ls and you will see this scrapy.config file. Okay, now let's try to run this scrapy crawl and just paste the name of the spider here. So this is how you start a Scrapy crawler. Okay, just type Scrapy crawl to scrap and press enter, and you will see that it is going to it will start without any errors, and it is showing all the settings that we have right now by default. So what happened here is that if you look here, it has sent https books.toscrap.com reports.txt file, and then it sends request to books.toscrap.com. Okay, so why it has sent request to reports.txt file, I'll explain in coming videos, because I think this website does not have a reports.txt file on it. Yeah, it does not have the reports.txt file. So okay, let's go back to our script, and what happened here is that, ignoring this part, if you look here, it has sent request to https books.toscrap.com, and from where it has got response as 200. And because we did not parse the website, it just closed the spider in the end, and the reason is finished. Okay, if you look here, you will always see why a scraper was closed. It will tell you the reason right here inside of these brackets. And now in the end, you can see all the request bytes, how many bytes you have fetched, how many request counts, types of requests, if it is get, response byte, all those details. Most of them are obvious. So these are all the details that you can see in a when scraper spider closes. Okay, so let's okay, as you can see that, let's try to parse that and try to see what response we are getting. Okay, the cool thing and the most useful thing that Scrapy offers is that you unlike Beautiful Soup or Request Library, inside of Scrapy you can use there are built-in selectors if you are comfortable with CSS selectors, if you are comfortable with XPath selectors. I use most of the time I use XPath selectors, but it offers both of support for both of these selectors, and also you don't need to manually send requests and fetch responses and use variables. In this case, we have all that covered. If you look here, we have already have a response parameter in parse method. So by default, if you click this symbol here, if you are using Scrapy framework, sorry, if you are using PyCharm, if you click here, you will see that parse method is basically a built-in method of Scrapy. So what we are doing here is that we are inheriting Scrapy.spider from Scrapy, which is basically a class of Scrapy. If you look here, this is basically, you can say, a blueprint or skeleton of the Scrapy default spider. Okay, so if you look here, we have name, which is must, because if name is not done, if name is done, it is going to raise this error that a spider must have a name. Okay, and also the start URLs, either you will have a start URL, or you will have a method. I'll explain that part later as well. So right now we have name, we also have a start URLs. So what will happen is that when it's going to send the request to this link, it's going to get a response. Let's try to print a response, and because it is a response object, let's try to get the text out of it. and see what happens. Let's go back to our terminal, clear the screen, and run the spider again. Okay, so if you look here, there is a lot of HTML that has come from the website. So this is basically what it is doing is that it's just printing the response that it is getting from the website. So it's not always a good idea to use print statements. If you are not able to debug a problem, you might want to use the print statement, but to display logs, or to display the output of a statement, it's always a good idea to use logs. Okay, so in this case, because I have used print, it has printed all the response that we are getting from this link. Okay, so one of the method that Scrapy uses is that do not repeat yourself method, which means that you don't want to you don't need to repeat the same code again and again. You can use the same methods that you have already defined. This is basically a principle of Python as well, preferred method and most recommended method when you are doing web scraping or you are coding in Python, any other thing in Python. So let's move on to next stage. Okay, now I'm sure you have some basic understanding. Now let's create a simple spider. This will give you some basic understanding of what scraper or crawler basically in Scrapy looks like. So now I'm going to scrape this website that I have shown you before, books.scrap.com. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to each of these product pages. I'll get the title, price, and the image link. Okay, and then I'll keep doing that, and I'll also go for to next pages, and until the end of the page, and try to scrape the whole website, okay, using Scrapy framework. And this in this you will see how to reuse the same code, okay, and also how you can efficiently crawl a website. So let's go back to our scraper, and let's remove this one. And now if you look here, first try to understand that now that we are here, first thing we need is the product link. So let's right click on this and try to inspect. I'm going to use export selector. You can also use CSS selector if you want. Okay, so this is basically h3 tag, and then we have a tag, and a tag contains the link. And this is basically product article. If you look here, this is basically a tag which names article and then class product. Let's pick the class name, go back to our code. Let's call it containers. Let's directly get the links instead. Okay, links equals to maybe product links to be more specific. Okay, to use XPath, just type dot XPath, and here double slash. What we had is article, and with class that we have copied. Okay, now article, and inside of square brackets with starting with @ let's paste this, and now let's go to h3 and a tag, because h3 is right next to article, so I think we can simply /h3/a/add h tag. Okay, now we have the product link. Next thing we need is now we have all the product links. Okay, once we write this export, it's going to get us all the product links that we have on this page. Next thing is we need next page, but before that, let's loop over this and send request to this these links. Okay, to do that, let's do product link in product links. Okay, now as you see, we have already imported Scrapy, so we can yield Scrapy dot, and we have request here, and product link. And in this case, because see, when we are scraping a website, we need to have different methods for each page. Okay, because we have this parse method for listing page, and we will need another method for product page. Okay, let's define parse page. Okay, and inside of it I'm going to pass response as an argument. All right, let's keep it pass. All right, here Scrapy.request, there are different types of requests. First, let's try to understand the structure of Scrapy. Once we have basic understanding, I'll explain to you different types of requests as well and different types of spiders as well. Okay. All right. So now we have Scrapy.request, and here I'm going to call back because it is a class method. So I'm going to, sorry, it is an instance method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it by self parse page. Okay, don't need to add brackets here. All right, now what it is going to do is that it is going to pick all the links and it is going to loop over it and send requests to each link, and the response will be passed on to this parse page method. Okay, all right, so what happens now? Let's just try to yield something. Yield is there's difference between, I'm sure you know the difference between yield and return. Yield is when you want to create a generator from a function, but in case of return, it is going to return only one thing and that's it. Okay, so I'm going to yield a dictionary, and in that yield, I'm going to simply, for now, for testing, I'm going to simply do this. Response.url means that all the links that are being sent here, it is going to just show me that URL. Okay, all right, let's try to run this again. Let's go back to our terminal and try to run this again. Okay, so something that we need to fix, request URL must be type URL name. Okay, so what happened here is that if you look here, I've got at the rate href, but in XPath I need also get all to get the element. Let's try this again. Now what happened is scheme is missing. It means that if you look here, the link is not complete link. Okay, if let me show product link as well, h3a. If you look here, this is basically a partial link. So there are two ways to complete a link in Scrapy. First one is if you are sending if you if you're not creating a link, but you are extracting links from a response. Okay, in that case, you can simply use response dot follow, and this way it is going to complete the link without you having to join it with its base link. Okay, but or instead, if you want to use Scrapy.request, sometimes link is not same as the one before, so you can simply do is that you can response.url join, and inside of it you can simply pass product link. Both of them will do the same thing. From response it is going to get the base link, and then it is going to complete the whole link. So I would recommend using response.follow as well. For now, for starters, let's keep it Scrapy.request. Okay, so let's try to run this again. Okay, if you look here, we are getting link book start to scrape catalog, and this is the link. Okay, so it is yielding all the links. So what happened here is that it has sent the request to this page, and it has retrieved all the links and sent request to it, and that's it. So it is not going to next pages because we did not ask it to do it, of course. But to get to next page, what we need to do is that we need to get the next page link. Next page equals to, now let's come down here and point to this next. And right now we have this li class. Let's use this. Response.xpath li class. So remember that if you are expecting more than one links, if you want to get, let's say, just like in for products, we we wanted to extract all the links, so we use .get all. But in this case, because we are expecting only one link, so I'm going to use .get. Okay, but I think I need also /a and href. Okay, all right, /a/at href. So what will happen is that it is going to send uh, requests to all the links on the page, and then it is going to look for the next page. Now, if next page means that if next page exists, what it's going to do is it is going to yield scrapy dot request. And now I'm going to use the link response.url join next page that I have extracted. And now the callback, this is really, the cool thing about Scrapy is that I'm going to use the same method that I have created above. So what it is going to do is that it is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of coding in terms of building a scraper. Because if you look here, what happens here is that you get product links. Once you get all the product links, you send them to parse page method, which is going to parse that product page. Once you send all those requests, it is going to move on and look for next page button. Once it finds the next page button or link, it is simply going to send the request, but it's going to send the response back to its parent method, which means that it is going to follow the same process as long as it is getting the next page link. Okay, so this is really interesting, and this is really useful when we are writing scrapers in Scrapy, that we don't need to repeat the same thing over and over again. We can reuse the same methods a little more logically and more technically, so that we save a lot of time. It is really efficient way to write a crawler. Okay, so now if you look here, we are yielding the link. Let's just try to get a few more details from the page. Let's try to get the title. I'm going to use this div class with h1. Let's call it title and XPATH /h1/text. Okay, so in case of whenever you are getting the text, just type /text. If you are getting attribute, it is supposed to be at the rate of that attribute name. In my case, I have used at the rate href. To get the text, just type h1/text. Okay, now I am expecting only one, so let's get. Next thing is probably the price, I guess. Price p class, let's use this price response.xpath p price/text dot get. Okay, so one thing that you can do also is that you can copy this XPath or CSS, whatever you have, come to this place in MacBook, press Command F, and I think in Windows you can do Control F to find. And here you can simply paste your XPath or CSS selector, and it is going to tell you that your XPath selector is correct. It is able to look at the element or not. Okay, so in this case my XPath seems correct. All right, so same is the case. Let's try the same thing with my title. Okay, so I'm getting only one, which means that the selector is precise and it is correct. Okay, let's try to get the image link as well. Okay, so let's product gallery, and inside of it, let's do this img, sorry, product image response.xpath. Now what I need is, if you look here, this is basically not the immediate subtag of this tag. So in this case, I'm using div with this id, and the next is not, because it is not the immediate sub tag, I will have to use double slash, because if you use double slash, it is going to look for that tag as in child tags as well, instead of just immediate next tag. So I'm going to type image img, I guess, and from image I want source, so let's get the source. Okay, so all right, now that we have title, price, and product image, let's try to run our crawler and see if we can get the uh, we can extract the details that we are looking for. Now let's press the up key, and let's press the up key, and now if you look here, if you want to extract the scrap data to a CSV file, what you can do is you can just type -0 and then you need is just type output file name, whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to call it output.csv. You can extract data in the form of CSV, XML, JSON, and few others, I guess, but you can extract the output like this. So let's try to run this. Okay, as you can see that you can just find out just by looking at this terminal. Okay, so if you look here, we have got title, price, product image, and if you look here, what I did wrong here is that I didn't get the element. Instead, I just used the response export. See, so this is important. Now I need to do this get. Okay, now let's stop our scraper. You can do this by Control C, but still, I think I'm sure I have got some details. Where is that? This is the one. Let's go there. See, I got some output, so let's have a look at it. Or you can simply go there and it is going to be there. Okay, if you look here, we have got title, price, and instead of link, I got selector object. So what I need to do is I need to get it and make sure that I am getting complete link instead of partial link. Let's close this one. Let's close this and remove it if you want to. I will rather remove it. Okay. So I have updated the script, and I would rather try to response.url join, because I don't want a partial link, I want a complete link. All right, now if you look here, I think I have done what was needed. Let's try to run it again. Okay, I think it should it's going to next page fine. It's getting the title, price, product image. So let's wait for this to complete. Right now we have I think 50 pages, so it is going to all the way to the 50 pages. Okay, so let's look at the stats. So what happened is that it has saved 1000 items, which means 1000 rows in a CSV file, because I think we have, I don't know, 1 2 3 4, I don't know how many products each page has, but sorry, it is showing 21 to 20. Okay, so there are total 1000 results, so which means that our scraper got 1000 items, which is correct. Now what it is saying is that it has closed the spider. The reason is because it finished info stored feed 1000 items in output.csv file. Output.csv file is the one that I have given it in command line argument. Now if you look here, it has sent request to 1051, which means that it has sent one request to Robots.txt file before it started the scraper. After that, it has sent 50 requests to 50 pages and 1000 requests to each product. Okay, so total there are 1051 requests. All of them were GET requests, and rest of the details I think you can go through and if you find these useful. Anyways, let's go back to our scraper and see a file, and let's see what we have got in our file. All right, let's expand this. And if you look here, we have got title, price, and products. All of them the way we want it. Okay, so this is a basic structure of a scraper, and this is how you build a Scrapy Spider out. Okay, so now I'm sure you have some basic understanding of the working of a Scrapy crawler. So let's talk about a different type of crawler, which is a CrawlSpider, which means that this is the type of spider that is used to crawl a complete website. This is more like a generic template, which means that if you implement this scraper on any website without having to like customizing the scraper uh, according to the website, it is going to work just fine. You just need to make sure that you add some rules. If you want to, you can add some allow and disallows for specific types of links. Maybe if you want to crawl a website but you don't want to crawl the social links on a website, then you can you know uh, tell it that do not follow the Facebook or Twitter, all those links, because you don't want to scrap data from those links. So let me quickly tell you how you can do that. Right now we were using Scrapy.Spider. We were inheriting from Scrapy.Spider. Now we will inherit from different spider. Let's import from Scrapy.Spiders, import CrawlSpider. And one more thing that we need from CrawlSpider is rule. And now let's change this inheritance from Scrapy.Spider to CrawlSpider. Okay, and if you are using Windows, you can press Control and you will see. Wait a second. Control and click on this CrawlSpider, or if you are using MacBook, just press Command and click on this CrawlSpider, and you will see this source code of this library. Okay, and if you look here, we have this parameter that we need to pass in terms of CrawlSpider to work, which is rules. This is basically a sequence set of rules. So what we need to do here is that we need to define a parameter. Let's remove this allowed domains here, because we don't want our scraper to restrict it to specific domain. Okay, so let's okay, now I'm going to define some rules here. And don't change this name, because this is basically predefined, so make sure that you have the same variable name just like this one rules. Okay, now rules are supposed to be list of rules, so make sure you pass it as such. Okay, now we imported this rule here. Inside of it, I'm going to pass a link extractor, which means that let's we need to import that scrapy.link extractor, import link extractor. This is basically package that extracts links from a website safely. So I'm going to use that. All right. Now we have one rule, which means we need to tell link extractor which links are to be extracted and what links can be, which links are to be followed and which links are not to be followed. All right, so now here I'm going to tell the link extractor to extract the links that have, maybe close this one. If you go here, I want to follow all the links that have this category in them. Okay, so let's have a look at this. If you look here, the category here is only in the category page links. Okay, so all right, I think you get the idea. Anyways, let me just add category in the allow. And the next thing I need to do is that I need to define a callback. So, I think you do understand that if we are scraping a website, an e-commerce website, we can be scraping either a product page, or we are on a categories or subcategories page. So if you are on a categories page, you don't want to treat it like a product page, because in that case it's not going to extract anything. It will return empty rows or maybe raise some errors. So when we are on category page, I want this to call back to self dot parse page. In this case, let me just check. I need to pause this like this, okay? Because at this point we don't have a self parameter and we cannot access this method. I'm sure if you are using if you know Python, you would understand this. Anyway, if you look here, we have defined a rule which contains a link extractor and a callback. All right. So let's define a method which is the, let's change it to category. Okay, and it is supposed to be category and response. All right, so now let's yield link response dot yield. All right, so what will happen here is that it's going to extract all the links that have category in them. It will follow them and then it will send the callback to this parse category method. Okay, unlike the previous scraper I have built, if you remember, I did collect the links using XPATH selectors and then I used to send a request to them. So this is basically the difference between these two different crawlers. All right, let me go to the terminal here and let me navigate to the script. Folder Scrapy tutorial. Here I'm going to run our crawler, Scrapy crawl, using the name of the scraper. And output, it should be -0 -o and let's call it cat 1.6. All right, if you look here and see, we are getting links to this, links of all the categories. And it's going to finish and it's going to show me, it is showing me 51 items. All right, let's go back to this and see cat1. And if you look here, we have got all the category links only, all the links that have categories in them. Okay, so this is how you use CrawlSpider. There are some additional parameters that you can pass. Let's say if you don't want to allow specific links, let's say I want to allow category links, but I don't want to allow a specific, let's say we have books in all the links, but I don't want to get specific link. Let me just open this one. Let's say I want to get a link that has books underscore one in it. All right, so let's go back to our spider, and here I want to set this to, sorry, deny. Yeah, sorry. Okay, it's supposed to be deny. All right, so here I'm going to define a rule, which means that it's going to follow all the links that have category in them, but it will deny only the link that has books underscore one in it. So let's try to run it again. This time let's save it into category 2. There we go. Now if you look here, in previous run we had 51 items, in this run we have 50 items. Okay. All right, let's go to our cat2 and see if we have got. If you look here in cat1, we had books underscore one, and here we don't have books underscore one. But the order is usually different because Scrapy does not follow a linear pattern, so it's going to you know treat it differently. Anyway, if you look here, we don't have books one in our second crawl, but we have books one in our first crawl. Let's try the different link, second link here. When we look here, we have got the rest of the URLs in our output file. All right, so I think you have some, you understand what is the difference between Scrapy crawler and CrawlSpider here. All right, so let's have a look into the settings of the scraper. If you remember, when we created this project, by default, it has created multiple Python files in the project directory. So here we have a settings file, pipelines, middlewares, and items. So now let's have a look at the settings file here. Let me just close the rest of them. So the way it works is that I think if you are using Scrapy, you must be familiar with this Scrapy settings. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple Django server on my local host so that I can show you how basically these requests are received on a server end. Okay. All right. Let's go back to a terminal. Uh, all right, so basically you don't need to create a server. This is just for educational purposes. You just need to learn the Scrapy part and you can test it in your website as well, any website on the internet. All right, so let's create the pip install Django. I think I already installed Django on my computer, but let's try that. Sorry, pip3. Django is already installed. Let's try to run this Django start project. Sorry, it's supposed to be Django. Admin start project. Okay, admin start project. You must provide a project name. Okay, it's Scrapy test project. All right, now if you look here, all right, I think I made a mistake and created Scrapy test in a wrong directory. Let's remove this Scrapy test. Let's go back to our Scrapy tutorial folder. All right, let's create the Django start project and Scrapy test. All right, let's have a look at a Scrapy test and to cd to Scrapy test. Now, if you look here, we have manage.py file here. Let's go back to our PyCharm. If you look here, we have this Scrapy test project here. It is basically a Django project. So you don't need to worry about it. Just follow these steps and you will, if you want to create a Django localhost website, maybe. All right, now that we have managed, let me just run this Python 3 manage.py run server. All right, if you look here, we have successfully launched a server on our local host. Let's go to our terminal browser and create it. All right, so if you look here, this is basically a website that is running on our local host. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to, send requests using Scrapy to this server and show you how requests are received on the server end and how, I mean, we can block this request and how we can treat them differently. All right, so let's go back to our Scrapy. Scrapy project. Now let's have a look at the settings. All right, starting from the top, bot name is Scrapy tutorial, modules and new spider. You don't need to do anything with it. Now let's have a look at this robots.txt underscore obey parameter. It means that every website have a file on it which tells all the robots what they can follow and what they don't need, they are not allowed to follow. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is that let's say let me have a look. If we have robots.txt file here by default, we don't. Let's create one. URLs path.txt. And now I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is all right, let me create something here which is supposed to be Python file views where I'm going to all right, so my server is ready. Let me just quickly launch it. To launch that, I just need to type Python 3 manage.py run server. If you are familiar with Django, you would understand. All right, so I can just copy this link. I think I've already opened it somewhere. Yes, this is the one. Okay, this is this server. Basically, the website has two pages. One is home page and second is robots.txt file page. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on robots.txt file. If you want to see a website's robots.txt file, you can just simply go to their main domain and type // robots.txt file and press enter, and you will see all the details that this is basically a policy that a robot need to follow. If your robot has a user agent on it, it is allowed for Google, it is allowed to go to these endpoints, and it's not allowed to go to these endpoints, and this is basically how they treat robots. Okay, so every website has it, pretty much all of them, and also the XML file, sitemap, which usually contains all the links of the website. Okay, all right, so let's get back to our server here. So what robots.txt file does is that basically, because we have by default it is set to true. So whenever you are, this is basically the server. Okay, so when I try to refresh the page, see, I see my header here. Okay, so this is basically the header that a browser is sending to the website, any website. Right now I'm getting on my local host. Okay, so let's get back to my shell and try to send the request to the same link and see what header that we get. But instead we are being forbidden by robots.txt file. Okay, so to solve that problem, you can either simply add a user agent here, okay, or you can simply set it to false. Okay, now that you have robots.txt file set to false, I just need to exit out of it and try to launch it again. Okay, I'm going to send the request. Now that I have sent the request, I've got 200. I'm not being blocked, which means that everything is fine. But one more thing that you need to see here is that it is the header. But if you look here, when I was sending request using browser, the header was pretty complex, but now it is simple header with few things, very few things. So it is very easy for the website to detect if the request is coming from, if a request is coming from a bot, a scraper, or it is coming from a real browser. So what you need to do, if you don't want to get blocked, make sure that you use complex headers. Okay, add custom header in it. I'll show you how you can do that. Okay, let's get back to, I created a simple scraper. Let me just show you. This is basically the scraper. Let me just remove this part first. We don't need that. Okay, so one thing is that if you want to send requests and maybe sometimes you want to create custom URLs or you want to load URLs from a text file or any URLs file, in that case, you don't need to send a request, a start request. You can override that using define start request. So this is basically a built-in method. Just don't worry about this part. If you have only that part, that is also fine. Okay, so all right, so what happens here is that let's just go back to source code. If you look here, the start request should return uh, you know an iteable object or a link. Okay, so in this case I'm going to return an, sorry, not an iteable object, of course, you know request object. Okay, I'm going to create a request object which is scrapy.request, and inside of it I'm going to send the request to this page. Sorry. Okay, and I'll yield R. Okay, this is basically a request object and it's going to send request to this link and the response will be passed on to this, but just don't worry about it. All right, let's try to launch our scraper, Scrapy crawl. I created this basically a different scraper unlike the previous one I was using. So this is basically robot scraper. Okay, just paste it and try to launch it. Once you launch it, you will see that it got the response, which is 200. 200 means good, 400 means not good, page doesn't exist. Anything above between 400 and 500. Anything above 500 means that you are being blocked by the server. So this is basically the different types of responses that you should be familiar with. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our server. Where's the server? Okay, this is the server. So if you look here, we have got the same request that we were getting using fetch command in the shell. Now let's try to send multiple requests. To do that, let's type for in range of 50. I'm going to send 50 requests, okay, and I'm going to send the 50 requests to same link. To send the multiple requests to same link, you need to tell it to not to filter duplicate requests, okay. It means there is you cannot in Scrapy by default you cannot send more than one request to the same link. It filters them out, okay. All right, so let's try to send 50 requests to the same link. Okay, let's clean that out to see so that we can see the response here. Launch the scraper. It has sent all the requests at once. So if you look here, we have got all the requests on the server. So now the problem is that a lot of time what we usually face is that whenever you're sending too many requests to the server usually detects. So how, if you look here, it is very much obvious that why is server detecting these requests. So why is it detecting these requests? Because you are sending same headers. So if I send, if I'm using different browsers or different computers are sending the request, which means that it is going to get different headers, which mostly means user agents, okay. So what you need to do is that you need to rotate your user agents as well. How you can do that? Because I have set user agent, usually by default it is set here. You want to set user agent project level, you can set it here. It's going to use that user agent for all the requests. But if you want to send user agent, a custom user agent for each request, you can add it inside your spider. Okay, so to rotate your header, you can, let's create a headers dictionary here, and let's create a user agent. To get a user agent, just go to inspect, go to network tab, clear this out, refresh the page, and you can go to the bottom and you'll see all the header. Basically everything that browser is sending to the server, it is right here. You can simply copy this. Let's use this user agent for our requests. User agent, okay, so now that we have our custom user agent, I'm going to send requests and see. Before I do that, I need to pass it as a parameter. Headers equals to headers, okay. All right, now that we have a custom user agent, I'm going to send the request to the server and see how the server what we get in the server, okay. All right, let's send the request. Let's try to launch our scraper again. This out. All right, so now that if you look here, we have got the user agent, okay, and we can rotate that as well. It's really important to make sure that you rotate your user agent. So if you rotate that, to give you an example, I'm going to simply add the number at the end of this string, okay. Let's run it again. Sorry, let me clean this out first. Run it again. Okay, if you look here, we have all the headers, different headers are being received on the server end, so it's less likely to be blocked by a website if you are using different types of user agent. There are a bunch of different Python libraries that generate different user agents. Don't add the numbers at the end. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So you can rotate your user agents. There are applications, rotate user agent, and different libraries that you can use to rotate to generate a user agent to use in your request. Okay, so use that. All right, now next step is let's get back to our settings, and if you look here, we have some other parameters. We have this concurrent request option here. Concurrent request means that whenever I'm sending a request to a server, it is basically sending 16 requests at the same time. Okay, by default it is 16. You can increase that to 30 to 100, whatever your machine can support. Okay, all right, so let's change it to concurrent request equal to 1. All right, let's now try to launch our scraper. It just with blink of an eye, it has sent all the requests, but because we did not add delay, it has sent in a sequence but real fast because server is responding just fine. All right, so let's get back to our concurrent request. So let's scroll down a little bit. If you look here, we have this download delay as well. So what it does is that whenever you send a request, if you want to send a burst of requests, if server is blocking you, you can add a download delay. In this case, let's keep this 3 because server delay is mostly set to 0 by default, which means that it's not going to wait for request, or it's not going to wait between the requests. Okay, so in this case, because it's download set, we are setting download delay to 3. Let's try to run this scraper again. As you can see here, it has sent one request, it waits 3 seconds, and then it sends next request, and so on. On the server end, if you look here, I'm getting the requests accordingly. So it means that if I'm not sending too many requests to the servers, either server is not going to detect or it's not going to block me. So this is one more thing that you need to know to make sure that you don't get blocked. And this is how you configure your settings as well. So if you are crawling a website we have discussed the CrawlSpider before, if you are crawling multiple domains and you want to scrape that you want to handle them differently, you don't usually use that a lot, but if you want to use this, these are the options for domain and IP. Okay, all right, so let's simply comment that out. Cookies, you have some option. Cookies are usually disabled, so if you look here, I'm not getting any cookies here, right, on the server end. Let's stop it and see if we can send some cookies. So this basically disabled by cookies, enabled by default. Okay, so it means that cookies are enabled by default. This good thing about Scrapy is that it sends cookies with the request. Okay, unlike the request library, whenever you're using request library, it's not going to send request cookies with request. But let me just show you the the cookies as well. Where is the all right, let's refresh the page, go back to our server, and if you look here, we have this. These are the cookies that server is receiving, and these are the headers. Okay, so this is basically what it is receiving when I am sending the request using browser. So let's try to do the same using our scraper. Let's just send the one request to see. I guess let's try to exit it and try to run it again. Maybe I have added some settings, I don't remember. All right, so let's send again one request. We got the request. Let's have a look. So if you look here, there are no cookies because website is not serving any cookies. Okay, that's why I'm not getting. By default, browsers send request cookies along with it, but when a website has some cookies on it and it returns some cookies with request, the Scrapy is going to use those cookies to send follow-up requests. Okay, but in browser, whenever we are sending a request, by default it sends some cookies with it. All right, so this is how it works. So in Scrapy, I didn't see any cookies, but in browser I am seeing some cookies, which is CSRF token. All right. Okay, so I hope you have some basic understanding of how basically you can configure download delays, how you can send concurrent requests, and how these requests look at the server end. Look at the server. All right, let's get back to our code and let's get back to our settings. I think we have a default header here. This is basically a default header that I have discussed here, that you want to send a custom header. You can add it here. If you want to set what we discussed before was just a user agent, but you can set a default header in your settings with all the parameter, let's say except language encoding and all those things inside your setting, which is project level header. Okay, so you can set it, or if you want to disable, you can disable. All right, so we have this telnet console. This is also you can use, but you don't usually need that, because let's just go back to our scraper. If you look here, you will see that there are some extensions that say telnet, which is telnet pass. This is telnet password. Okay, So basically a scraper, whenever you run a scraper, it is running on localhost, and whenever if you want to telnet to it, you can telnet to your scraper and see the stats and all those things if the scraper is running on your cloud or anything like that. Okay, so all right, so let's just skip that. That's not really, don't really use that a lot. All right, so we have some Spider middlewares and download middlewares, and then we have extensions that I mentioned before, telnet console, and these are item pipeline. I'll discuss these things. This is auto throttle, start delay, auto throttle. So it means that whenever you're sending a request to a server, okay, so there are some cases that when you get a response immediately, this website will speed up the request. And when you are sending the request to the server and server is blocking you, that means that uh, the server is blocking you maybe because of the request you are sending. Maybe you are sending too many requests. So what this auto throttle means, it does is that it increases the speed if you are getting the response you need, and decreases the speed if the server is blocking you. Okay, so this basically when you use auto throttle. So if I set it to true, okay, and it is going to have a start delay, max delay, which means that it is going to send request for every 5-second delay. But if a server is not responding or blocking your request, it is going to wait as much as 60 seconds for each request. Okay, so this is basically an automatic. That's why it's called auto throttle. Okay, so let's just comment that out. Don't need it. Okay, target concurrency 1.0 debug false. Okay, so let's get the cache and dir. If you want to, I think we don't need that part. Just forget it. So it is basically if you want to save files on your download or save files on your any directory, and you want to make sure that they are up to date, you can use these caches and cache directory. If you want to save caches to a directory, and you want to make sure that they expire after 24 hours. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to check for that cache. If that is latest or less than 24 hours old, it's going to keep that. But if it is older than 24 hours, it's going to just remove that and use the save the new cache on it. Okay, so this is why it is used. The last part you don't need it, just ignore. All right, so I'm sure you have some basic, you have some knowledge about settings now. You can configure your own settings if you want to. All right. Okay, now let's go to our next thing, which is, okay, this is not the one. This is the one. So let's move to pipelines. So what happens is that in pipelines is that whenever you are, uh, scraping a website, you yield some dictionary or files or anything that you want to export to CSV file, Excel file. But before you export that file, you want to do something on that, you know, that thing, that data that you're exporting. So let me just give you some examples. So by default, you will have some details here. Let me just comment this out and see. Scrapy tutorial pipelines, Scrapy tutorial pipeline. This is the same name as this one. Okay, so I have enabled the pipeline. Now what I can do is that, let's say right now I don't think I'm yielding anything, but I do yield something here. Okay, let's say that once we have this link, okay, because this scraper is yielding a link, I'm going to, let's change that link. Okay, so right now item is the one where we are getting the link. So let's say item link equals to, sorry, let's call it link equals to item link. So first I'm going to get the link from item. Now let's link equals to link plus, let's add something at the end of every link. So let's do that, and change the item link from inside the item and return the item. Okay, so let's try to run our scraper again. Where is the scraper? This is wrong. To scrap and see what we get. Scrapy crawl to scrap dash 0 to scrap test pipelines. That's it. Okay. All right. So if you will look here, you will see your pipeline enabled as well. So I don't know. If you look here closely, you will find. Anyways, so if you look here, I did not change anything in the spider, but still I am getting uh, these dashes at the end of every link. Let me just stop it. I think I've added delay in the settings, so it's being implemented on this spider as well. Okay, let me just open the CSV file. All right. So if you look here, each of these links have these dashes on the end of at the end of this value. So which means that I did not change anything here. I updated the pipelines. So what pipeline does is that it is going to process every item before yielding it. Okay. So there's a bunch of other stuff that you can use. Oh, you just want, anyways, okay. There's some, you can go to their documentation and see a lot of some parameters that you can use. What we used is process item. Okay, so you can use open spider, close spider, process item. Okay, and there's lots of things that you can use. This comes handy when you are downloading files, a lot of files, video files, images from a website, and you can, process those file names and all those things in the pipelines. All right, so this is basically how you use pipelines. I think now you understand how you use pipelines. This you enable them in the settings, and then you can use this, and it's going to use this pipeline. If you want to process the item before exporting, you can use it. All right, so let's just move on to, let's disable it again. All right, let's move on to middlewares. Basically, you can also enable middlewares from your settings. Okay, so this is basically Spider's middleware. Okay, so if you look here, whenever you are trying to launch a scraper, you will see a lot of stats here. If you look here, this is basically what happens is that these middlewares are activated, and they are used to handle different scenarios inside of a scraper. Okay, so if you go to your middleware, if you look here, you will see all the things that happens inside a scraper. Okay, so whenever you launch a scraper, what it does, how the way it works is that it launches and loads all the middlewares and extensions and all these settings. All of this happening right here. All right, so okay, so you just need to, if you want to process spider output, you can use this method. If you want to handle exceptions, if you want to handle star requests, if you want to handle spider, what happens when once a spider opened. So spider, if you look here, we have this spider opened. Let's just copy this and paste it here. If you look here, we have this spider opened parameter here, which means that this is basically the method that is being called when a spider is opened. Okay, I can change it. Let's just change it. Let's add some dashes in it. I love dashes. Okay, so I think I enabled so see, if you look here, we have, I don't want to run the hot crawler. Look here, we have this dash 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 to scrap. Okay, so this is basically how you control your scrapper if you want to, using this middleware. So also there are other middlewares. If you are downloading files, or if you are yielding something, you can use this middleware, download middlewares, process request, process response, exceptions, open, and you can also create a custom pipeline, as well as you can create a custom middleware. That you can do using here. If what you need to do is, if you want to create a different middleware and you don't want to use this one, I think you do not need to use a lot of middleware. So let's do the same on the pipeline instead. Okay, so we had our pipelines. here. So if you look here, we have this pipeline, right? So if you want to use more than one pipelines, what you can do is you can simply create another pipeline and set its priority. Maybe if you want to, process this pipeline before this one, you just need to set it higher. Okay, let me call it 400. Okay, so this is basically the priority. So here, because we have these pipelines, let's get back to pipelines. So what I can do is instead of using this, I can create another pipeline and call it, let's say, sorry, my pipeline. Okay, so now I can use this pipeline inside my scraper. Just go back to your settings and here just paste this thing. Okay, so if you want to create your custom pipelines, you can create a pipeline, use pipelines.py file, a class name pipeline, whatever name you want to give it, and mention it here. At this point, you can use that pipeline, custom pipeline for whatever reasons. Okay, so this is how you use middlewares and for items. All right, so if you want to stick to specific fields, what you can do is that you can make sure that you can import this pipeline from the items to your code. Let's say if I want to import, from items, sorry, items, import, sorry, import this, and I'm going to create an item object here. And then I'm going to yield item. That's a link in this case, or if you want to add, let's add something here and then item. All right, so if you look here, when we define a parameter here, let's say we have defined link equals scrapy.field. So which it means that we cannot yield anything else. Okay, so this way we can make sure that we are yielding the right values to our output file. So to use that, just go back to your file and scraper spider and import scrapy tutorial dot item, import the class and use this class to create a class object. Let me create an object name item, and inside of item I'm going to use this something that I have created to test. Let's see if I can yield it. Okay, so item is basically an item object, and we can pass something. We want to save that response URL to that, something, assign the something so that we can yield it. Okay, let's try to run it. So if you look here, what happened here is that basically, what you found. Okay, wait, pardon, I think I made a mistake. All right. This is fine. I think it is something to do with the tutorial dot items. Okay, sorry, items. It's supposed to be items. All right, let's try to run it again. All right, so if you look here, it's going to throw a lot of errors because item, if you look here, key error does not support print something. Okay, so it means that I need to only yield the fields that are defined in items, right? So because link is defined here, I need to only yield link. All right, let's try to crawl again. When you look here, it's just crawling just fine. Okay, so this is how you basically do that. Use the items. So the purpose of the items is to make sure that you are, if you want to, let's say, yield something, and it's supposed to be a number, or it's supposed to be a string, or it's supposed to be a boolean. If you go boolean, if you want to, look at the dictionaries. Sorry, look at the, you know, the documentations. You will see that what you can do and what you cannot do. So basically, if you want to define the fields, if you want to yield a specific data types, you can do that. You can define all the parameters. If you look here, it says scrapy.field serializes string, and if you want to, you expect an output as a integer, you should do that in this items of this script. Okay, so I think this item middleware pipeline settings, I think I have covered pretty much everything of Scrapy. So let me think about it. All right, I think I have covered pretty much everything. So if you have any questions, if you want to ask anything related to Scrapy framework, you can ask me in comments. I'll try to be as responsive as I can. Don't forget to subscribe this channel and hit a like button.